Now, a long moustached man had made a long, boring speech. Then followed the presentation of bouquets, then more applause, and the curtain came down, and the people began to move towards the exit. Okay, the concert had come to an end. Now, the moustache man had made a long, boring speech, and the people have stood up. That means to give the bouquet, that is presentation of bouquet was going on, then more applause, that is people were clapping, and then the curtain came down and the people began to move towards the exit. To move, observe the words children here. To move, it is an example of infinitive. I think you all understood. The concert had come to an end. Okay, after the music concert, you could see the long moustache man had made a long, boring speech, and then followed the presentation of bouquet, and then the curtain came to an end. The people began to move towards the exit. Exit opposite is entry. Okay, enter and exit. Okay, so to move, as I told, like a to plus present form of the verb, it is called as a infinitive. Okay, now we'll see the 12th paragraph. Now was the time. Smita wriggled her way through the crowd towards the stage. Wriggled means to twist the body. For example, if you are stuck in the crowd and if you have to go move, that means to move forward, what you do, you move your body, right? So Smita also, she moved her body to go towards the stage. Okay, then she went up the steps. She reached the step and then she led to the wings. Then she moved towards the wings. Her heart beat loudly. That means her heart began to beat loudly. Why? Because she is going to meet the great maestros. Okay, so in the wings, a small crowd had gathered to talk about the evening concert. So she climbed the steps and she led to the wings, and there she found a crowd. Crowd means a group of people. Okay, it's a noun. Again, it is example for collective noun, crowd. Okay, so she saw a group of people standing in the side wing and they were talking. Again, you could see here an example called as to talk. That means it's an example of the infinitives. Okay, so she found a group of people standing in the wing and they were talking, okay, about the evening concert, and to help. Again, this is also an example for infinitives. To plus help. To help. Help is present form of the verb. So this is also an example for a infinitive. So she found a crowd in the side wings and some were talking about the concert and some were helping to carry the bouquet and some were helping to take the teacups and the instruments. Okay, 13th paragraph. He was there standing with the man who played the tabla for him. He was there. Who here he is referred to? Pandit Ravi Shankar. Pandit Ravi Shankar was there. Okay, standing with the man who played the tabla. Who is the one who played the tabla? Ustad Ala Raka. So he was there. That is Pandit Ravi Shankar was there with the Ustad Ala Raka. Okay, a great wizard. Wizard means a person who is especially good at some art. So this you have to keep it in your mind because they may ask for one word. Okay, give one word. Okay, wizard. Wizard means a person who is especially good at some art. Okay, so Pandit Ravi Shankar is with Ustad Ala Raka, the greatest tabla player, a great wizard of music. Okay, the great wizard of music. Here it is referred to Ustad Ala Raka, the great musician and the greatest tabla player. Okay, so Pandit Ravi Shankar is found with Ustad Ala Raka. Her knees felt weak and her tongue dry because she began to feel afraid. Okay, but she went up and standing before them, her hands folded. Oh sir, she burst out. So she reached them and what did she do? She folded her hands. That means she folded her hands and she began to burst out. Burst out means say with a strong feeling. That means she began to show her emotion. Okay, I think you all understood. So after the long boring speech, you could see the people started giving the bouquet and some they were taking people were found on the stage wings. They were talking about the present concert, and some were helping the great maestro to take his instruments and all those things. So after that she met those two maestros, and she began to share her emotions, that is, share her feeling. Yes, he asked questioningly but kindly. Means yes, here Pandit Ravi Shankar allowed her to talk, but kindly. Okay, he asked, that means he told her to express her feeling, and her story came pouring out. Okay, she began to tell of her story. It means about the wish that the what is that, Anant, who had a wish to visit to the concert, and how much he is attached to this Pandit Ravi Shankar. So all these things she began to tell to those two great masters. Okay, then he asked questioningly but kindly, and her story came pouring out. The story of her brother who lay sick at home, and of how he longed. He longed means he desired to hear. Again, here you see to hear. This is also example for infinitive, and the Ustad play. So she's telling everything. She's freely telling about her brother, how he is laying sick at home, and how he longed to hear them. That means hear Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Alaraka. So like this, Smita, she said everything freely to this Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Alaraka. That is about her brother who lay sick at home, and of how he longed to hear him. All these things. Okay, longed means a desire. Okay, so Anand desired to listen to Pandit Ravi Shankar and longed to hear Ustad Alaraka and his entire story of her brother's sickness and his desire. Everything she told them. Okay, so next, little girl, said the moustache man who had made the long speech. Pandit ji is a busy man, and you must not bother him with such a request. Okay, moustache man here is refers to Ustad Alaraka. So when she told all these things, this Ustad Alaraka, okay, he said, Pandit ji is a busy man, you should not trouble him with such a request. Okay, next, but Pandit ji, Ravi Shankar, smiled and motioned him. Motion him means make a command with a head or a hand. So when Pandit Ustad Alaraka was shouting at Smita, saying that you should not trouble him with such request, he commanded, it means he signaled him with his head, and he told him that do not speak like that, and he turned towards him and asked, when shall we do? Okay, so he asked Ustad Alaraka, Panditji asked Ustad Alaraka, when shall we do? That means when shall they give the concert to Anant? Okay, the Ustad moved the wad of pan. Okay, he had a lump of pan this side, and he moved this side. Okay, from one cheek to another. Tomorrow morning we perform for the boy. Yes, he said. Okay, so Pandit Ravi Shankar asked Ustad Alaraka when to perform for Anant. So he immediately said that tomorrow morning, that is next day, they are going to perform for the boy. Yes, Pandit ji replied. So Pandit ji, that is Pandit Ravi Shankar, agreed to perform for Anand. It's settled then. What is settled? That is, these two maestros, they are going to perform for Anand in his house. So both Ustad Alaraka and Pandit Ravi Shankar, they agreed to perform for Anand. That is for Anand. So this shows the greatness of these two great maestro. She had a daring thought. That means once she was in the park and she got some daring thought, right? What is that daring thought? This is the one. She had actually planned to bring the two maestros, that is Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Alaraka, to her house. Okay, so she finally got what she had thought in the concert, and she went to the concert making a dare thought that she would bring the maestros to their house, and she fulfilled her brother's wish. So making this daring idea, she went to the concert leaving her brother, and finally she succeeded in her task. Okay, next paragraph. It was a very excited Smita who came home late that night. Anant was awake, breathing the oxygen from the cylinder. Okay, so here it says that she was very excited. Why she was very excited? Because she had gone to the concert with a purpose. She made request to these two great maestros, and these two maestros were ready to perform for Anant, and they agreed. So she was very happy. Okay, and she came home late that night. That means, as she was felt very happy to discussing about those things, about welcoming, that means inviting two maestros, she went. She came home late. Okay, that night, and Anant was waiting. That means he was awake. He was waiting for her, and he was breathing the oxygen from the cylinder. So it shows that his condition was very critical. Did you hear him? He whispered. Okay, so Anand was very curious, and he asked Smita, did you hear? That means, did you hear those two maestros? Okay, did you attend the concert? Okay, so, and she replied, yes, and I spoke to him, and he will come tomorrow morning with the tabla ustad, and they will play for you. So when Anand asked that whether she listened to them and she heard to them, she said that yes, I did, and I spoke to them. She also made him to feel happy, saying that she spoke to them and they are going to come tomorrow to perform for him. Okay, so next, and the following morning, that is the next morning, Aunt Sushila's neighbor saw two men getting out of the taxi. So who are those two men? Pandit Ravishankar and Ustad Alaraka. On the request of Smita, they agreed to come to Anand's house to perform, and they got down from the taxi, and which pulled up towards their block. Pulled up means stopped. This means they stopped there. Okay, outside the block. That means they have come and stopped there near the block, and the people, that is Sushila and Aunt Sushila's neighbors, saw that, and they couldn't believe that. Okay, they couldn't believe their eyes. Two great maestro who had very famous, they had come to their block. They couldn't believe their eyes. So Pandit Ravishankar and Ustad Alaraka, they went up the wooden staircase, knocked softly the door of Aunt Sushila's apartment. Okay, so they went up to the apartment. That means they climbed the wooden staircase, knocked at the door of Aunt Sushila's apartment. They went in and sat on the divan by the window and played for the boy. Okay, so Pandit Ravishankar and Ustad Alaraka, they went up the wooden staircase, knocked on the door of Aunt Sushila's apartment. Okay, so they came to Anand's house. They climbed the wooden staircase, knocked softly the door of the Sushila's apartment. They went in and sat down on the divan by the window and played for the boy. Boy is for Anand, surrounding him with a great and a beautiful happiness as life went out of him gently, very gently. So Anand felt very happy listening to the music, and he felt as if he was surrounded by the beautiful happiness, and at the same time his life went out of him gently. So finally the wish of Anand was fulfilled. Smita had fulfilled her brother's wish, and Anand felt very happy listening to the concert. Okay, listening to the concert, his life went out him gently, very gently. Finally, he died listening to the concert. So it was a very tragic ending. A 15-year-old boy who suffered from the deadly disease lost his life at a very tender age. Ustad and Pandit Ravi Shankar had come and fulfilled his last desire, and he wanted to see and listen to these musicians of the Panditji, and they filled the room with all the beautiful music of the sitar. And the boy who listened to this music, he listened to it and he passed away to the other world. So he had a very beautiful death. And who does he owe to all these things? To his sister, okay, who had a deep love for her brother. She went to the Pandit Ravi Shankar, requested them, and they came to their house and they performed. And at the same time, we should remember Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Ala Raka for their kindness too. Okay, though they are noted maestros, they came to the Anand's house and they performed for them. So this shows their love and compassion. So what do we learn from this lesson is that the message we take from this is that we should show the kindness.